So my name is Jennifer Mahan, and I'm going to tell you about Ditch That Worksheet. And I kind of got this idea from, have you ever read the Ditch That Textbook books? I have one. So, well, my 10. Sorry. So there's a whole series of books, Ditch That Textbook, Ditch That Worksheet, and Don't Ditch That Text. Don't Ditch That Tech. And that's kind of what I based this off of. This book, you need it. I love this book so much. So it says Ditch That Homework, and I've taken a lot of ideas out of this book into here. So if you don't read it, it's kind of like you did by being here. So I'm going to teach you today about how to incorporate images, video, and games into your classroom. And a lot of those is going to be through Google applications, and some will not be. So one main thing is don't just teach a lesson, create an experience. And what that means is you can stand up and you can teach as much as you want. But if you're not creating an experience for kids, they don't really care what you're teaching. Why do they need to remember it? So I'm going to show you how, instead of just teaching from your book, teaching whatever, you're going to create an experience for kids, and that's going to be more meaningful for you. So we're going to start integrating technology. Start small. Start somewhere with a tool that you know how to use. And something to be a quick win. And what I mean by that is something that you know you can handle, that's gonna be successful the first time. So when you start integrating technology, you're gonna feel good about what you just did. A quick win, something that you know worked. Because if it doesn't work the first time, it's gonna be a little stressful and you might not wanna keep going. Start with an impact. Where in your instruction can you have the greatest impact? And then start with excitement. What are you excited about? And that's where you should start. So how can I create an experience for students? There's so many different ways. Kids love social media, so figure out how you can incorporate some form of social media into what you are teaching. Kids love videos, games, collaboration, working in groups, images, storytelling, global communication, and exploration. That's all things I'm going to kind of show you about today. Make sure you're including a C in every single lesson. Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. Those are things that when I'm creating a lesson, I make sure I have those. Because if I have those 4 pieces, my kids are going to be engaged in what I'm teaching. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about is Google Keep. This is what a Google Keep looks like. This is what mine looks like. It's pretty, it's organized. Google Keep is a great tool to create reminders, to create lists. You can add collaborators, change the colors of notes. This is really great because it goes into Google Docs. It goes into Google Sheets. It goes into your Google Calendar, and everything will be synced together. What I like is you can add collaborators. So here's my little grocery list that I also send to my husband. And then he can't mess up the list because it sends it to him. But think about how this could help in your classroom. Spelling lists. I could type this up and share it in my Google Classroom. And the kids could see that list. Penny and I had talked about some of the kids in special education who might need some more reminders, who might need some more organization. What's nice about Google Keep is you can set up a reminder based on the location. So I could be walking into school, and the second that it realizes I'm in school, that reminder is going to go off. It's based on the location. It can be based on the time. So Google Keep has a lot of great features. You can filter the notes, pin notes, send feedback, create checklists. It's available on Chrome, your mobile device. You can search it on the web. So, use Google Keep with students. You can make to-do lists, bookmarking, vocab and spelling lists, class notes. We just went to a professional development in our school, and the lady asked where our notes were. I threw them away. I'm sorry. I lose paper like it is my job in life. So as we were sitting there, listening to Dr. Sue Jenkins, I was typing it down this time, and now I have it and I can't lose it because it literally won't go away unless I delete it. And then I can put it in here in my in-service notes, so it's so nice, it's organized. I can make it, all my notes are a certain color. So for me, it's beneficial because I'm not organized and I lose everything. So think of your kids. Is this something that could help them? Like I said, location-based reminders, this would be great for project management. If you're creating a project and having students work in groups, you can make a checklist on here of each job that needs done. And students could go ahead and check them off when they get done. Or maybe you're trying to figure out the requirements for an assignment and you put them in there and they can still check them off when they're done. And it's really going to help with organization. And like I said, you can't lose it. Reading logs. Keep track of what students are reading, group projects, journaling, research note cards, and organization reminders. Google Keep is great. It's something I wish I would have used previously. I only started using it probably in the past 6 months, and it's been really helpful. This is what it looks like. It says take a note. This is what it looks like when you first get in there. It's super simple. This little box gives me some, you click them, you know, you can change the color, you can add a picture, and then here's what it'll look like then. So it's super easy. It's like all the other Google apps. The same words are the same. And this is what your Google Keep looks like, your little checkerboard. The next thing I'm going to tell you about is Google Sites. Google Sites is another Google application. Looks like this. Google Sites is a great tool for students to use and collaborate on. Students can use sites to create digital portfolios to feature their work and achievements. So what I think of is I can create a site for each chapter in my social studies textbook, and each kid can do a tab on a lesson. So the whole chapter is being summarized, and it's being created by students, so it's more meaningful because they're putting the work into it themselves. You can create and manage to-do lists on here for assignments and classroom activities. Like I said, collaborate, and that's the big thing with Google. Everything you have, you can collaborate with the kids in your class. As the teacher, I can collaborate and see what they're doing. And students can use it to present their findings on a particular research project. Have students collaborate a tab for each lesson or chapter, create a site for each chapter or subject. So this is what it looks like when you go to make a Google site. It's user-friendly, it's easy to use and share. All the stuff at the top looks like every other Google app, and it's pretty simple. Text box, image, embed a link, find something from your drive, whether it's an image or, then it gives you layouts. So it seems really simple, but it's a great way to keep track of what you learned this year, especially if you're going to go ahead and make, you know, each chapter of your social studies maybe a different site. You can have all of that for people to find. You can use it as examples because it's there. And that's just an example of a site I had to make for a class, but that's, after going through that, that's what it looks like. Over here is like the sidebar, so I could easily put home as, you know, my social studies or science or math, and each lesson could be a different page, or it could look a little different. The next thing I'm going to tell you about is Google+Communities, G+Communities. This kind of gives students the feel of social media. If you're using Google Classroom, this is not something you would need. I think they kind of go together. I use G+Communities a lot for my grad classes, and I think it'd be great for older students to use. It lets students participate in protected online environment, facilitates communication, information sharing. It's just really convenient. You can post stuff, you know, you can respond to each other. What I like is I can see what other people post for assignments, and be like, so as an older student, you know, if you're going to try to build off of each other, you can see what other people are doing, and I like that. And you can comment and give feedback, and it's super easy. So like this is what the Google+Community would look like. Over here's your side tab. So you can post discussions in here, you can post assignments, and then you can go ahead and add a comment on any of this, and you can directly tag someone's name, you can click on any of the links and open them, and it's just a great space to collaborate. For group projects, this would be great, because it's a spot where you could create a G+Community for whatever assignment you're doing, and you and your group could collaborate together. Hey, I have a question, let me write this on here quick. And then my students from their house or wherever they are could just respond. And as an educator, I could go on and see, oh wow, this group's working, oh they have a question, let me help them. So it's kind of a place to have everything all together. The next thing I'm going to talk about is images. So one of my new favorite things to do is have students create a meme. And there's a few different ways you can do that. There's simple meme generators, or I use Google Drawings. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Google Drawings. It's a great way to connect an image of what students are learning and a one-line witty comment. So right here I have George Washington in a boat on some ice. Probably not going to end well. So I said, let's cross this icy river in boats. Yep, solid idea. Now think of it as from a student. They would be making connections while putting a quick one-line comment on here. So I'll give you some better examples in the next one. So here's Google Drawings, all things you can make. You can create graphic organizers, interactive posters, comic strips, memes, interactive whiteboard, digital manipulatives, annotate images, do timelines, tutorials, Add and pass activities. So what I mean by that is I can start writing on something, and because all this can be collaborated and shared, maybe my partner or my group can continue working on it and keep passing along until you have stories. So here's an example. It says, maybe if I write my name the biggest, they'll think I wrote it. So it's John Hancock signing the Declaration of Independence. And that was one that you could do as like a meme. Here's another way. It says, give me liberty or give me death. Well, that's a comment he made, so you can add a speech bubble, and then you can tell about it. It's the Second Virginia Convention, March 1775. Instead of maybe writing a worksheet about what students have learned, give them a picture and have them explain themselves. Have them be creative and come up with what they can. And then this is just Abe Lincoln with a quote. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. And that's a great way, especially with Martin Luther King Day. Give the students a picture. Have them come up with a quote of what he said. Have them come up with something that signifies him. And it's a more meaningful way of making that connection of what they're learning. Here's some more examples from Google Drawings. These are all pre-made templates, and I got these through the Ditch That textbooks. There are hundreds of pre-made templates, and you can share these with your students through Google Classroom. So right here, hexagonal thinking, it's already there. You put your thoughts on there. It saves it on your computer. You can print it out, you can collaborate. So if I'm working with this table here, we can all have this document open and all be putting in our thoughts at the same time. And you can do that here. I have some character mapping, fishbone planner, and a pre-made flow chart. And then there's more. So instead of just, having a kid do a essay, send out one of these. Assign it on Google Classroom and have them make that connection of what they learned. Instead of writing it out, have them do a map. Use the emojis. Use the text boxes where they have to go ahead and find pictures, add words, and make it meaningful and relevant to what they learned. So you could add these into G+Communities or Google Classroom, and it's shared learning. Students can either save it and do it themselves, or they can collaborate on it. Next thing I'm going to tell you about is games. Kids love games. We love games. Games are one way to make your classroom more interactive and engaging. And some ways you can do that is to create your own board games and use your Bitmoji to make the pieces. I know whenever I have my Bitmoji places, the students think it's hilarious. So make game pieces out of it. Right before Christmas, we were doing a STEM challenge, and they had to make a zip line that could carry my little gingerbread man. Well, my last name's Mayhan, so I made my Bitmoji into a gingerbread, and I had little gingerbread Mayhan, and the kids kept trying to make sure little gingerbread Mayhan didn't fall, so whenever I put my Bitmoji into places, I feel like kids love it more. Another way to incorporate games, create an escape room. Some of this stuff is going to take longer to create initially, but once you do that, you have it forever. Keep reusing it, and kids are going to love it. They're going to be engaged. They're going to want to be there. Mobile games or apps. Kahoot, quizzes, Quizlet Live are all great things. When I taught 5th grade math and social studies, whenever I reviewed, I only reviewed really using quizzes. And because it was a game. Kids were so excited to get those questions right, to see the meme that came after it. I mean, they were learning, they were reviewing, but they were having fun. And especially even with math. I had kids work in groups of 2, and I'd put math questions on there, and me and my partner would have to answer them on our whiteboard. And if my partner got it before me, he couldn't answer that question until I was done. And I mean, if you did answer it without your partner finishing, I normally may just sit out a few minutes or something, or I don't know, I did something to make it happen. But I noticed that students were helping each other. They were finding the answers, and they were working really fast and hard because they wanted to win. So that competitiveness kind of motivated them. And then with the Google Images, there's already pre-made templates for Jeopardy, for games like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So think of those games, and instead of doing a simple review worksheet, turn them into a game. And these templates are pre-made. It's a lot more work in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it's worth it. And I did Jeopardy all the time in math, especially as a review, and the kids loved it. They worked together, they tried to find the answers. So those templates are already pre-made. And you can have students create their own review games by making interactive slides. So if you have the slides interactive, have them create it themselves. Then not only are they reviewing, but they're doing the work. Do you have a question?
Yeah, when you play Jeopardy, how do you get who gets to answer?
I always let it take turns.
You just take turns because there's no way to get the buzz in first.
No, I took turns. But then I liked how, if you saw the guy this morning, how he had that marker sitting there. I don't know if you could see where you were standing.
Yeah, but we have 28 kids and 2 kids.
The only thing I could think of is if you did a representative for each team, each question. Okay. But other than that, I couldn't think of a way. When I did it in my room, I just took turns, and if this group got it wrong, the next group got the chance to kind of steal the question. Because I never found a good system for that. Sorry.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I didn't have a good one. So when it comes to video, some things you can use are YouTube, Flipgrid. With YouTube, you can have students create YouTube videos. You can have students create YouTube playlists. I don't know if you know what the playlists are, but they could find videos, put them in a playlist, and they can learn from those videos. So say I'm learning about the body, I don't know, stem cells or cells, organisms, I don't know. You can have kids challenge them to find videos based on that topic, add it to a playlist. They're doing the teaching for you. They're learning by finding the videos, and then you can share those with your class, and each group can look at different videos of what they're learning. You can have students create their own YouTube videos to kind of be like a vlog, so a video blog. So maybe you want them to do a blog about a topic or a homework assignment, all different ideas. And then Flipgrid, that's a great form of video. Create Flipgrid videos. Teachers can post a question and have students record a quick video. It's a great way to create a podcast. You know, like obviously a podcast. If you have students, you can have students you can have a teacher post a question and a student upload a video. So maybe this is on horses. Students can put a video of a horse on the Flipgrid video, and then all you hear is them talking. You can take 1:30 minutes, you can take 5 minutes, and it's like a podcast for students to create. The next thing, Screencastify or Screencast-O-Matic, and here's an example. You can have a Google Slides presentation going and record yourself explaining the slide. So it's just a random slide I had to do for something, and I pulled a screenshot of it. So you can either screen just yourself, the slideshow and yourself, or just the slide, and here are you talking. And that's another way to kind of have students create videos. Create your own radio show on a topic. Have students record as a news anchor. You know, have a few different people take different roles and record about what's happening. So if you're learning about something from history, record as if you're Thomas Jefferson and they're trying to write the Declaration of Independence. I think he was in there. I don't remember. Record videos like a game show. Think of like the game Cash Cab. So you can have someone recording and people answering the questions as you go along, like it's a game for the competition aspect. Ways to make reading responses more impactful with Flipgrid. So instead of doing worksheets, here's some ideas you can do. Have students snap pictures, summarize, or annotate a book using Flipgrid as they read. So after each chapter, maybe summarize what you just read on a Flipgrid video, and you can check those. After you read an entire book, make a Flipgrid video summarizing the entire book. You can print out the QR code, tape it in the book, and now you have that Flipgrid augmented reality experience as well. Give me 5. Choose 5 quotes from a book that best illustrates the author's message, insight into character, and conceptual understanding. So have students find 5 things that you want them to tell you, that they want to tell you. Post them in your Flipgrid video, because I guarantee they're going to remember those 5 things more than if they wrote them down on a piece of paper. Book vlogs, another thing, a video blog. Students can illustrate their progress and demonstrate their understanding through that using Flipgrid. A podcast, like I already explained, upload an image into Flipgrid and let students talk about a topic as they were creating their own podcast. And they're going to take more ownership in that than if they're writing on a worksheet, if they're writing a paper. And the last one is passage, connection, illustration. Choose a passage and post it as a topic on Flipgrid. Have students explain how they personally connected to the text. So here they're actually making their connections. They're telling you what they thought about it, how it made them feel. Is there similarities to anything else they've done, read? And then illustrate. Like I showed in Flipgrid earlier, the Flipgrid allows the Blackboard and whiteboard options, so it turns into a virtual Blackboard and whiteboard, and they can illustrate, create an infographic on the whiteboard Blackboard feature, and show an actual representation of the book. And like I said, you can make those up to 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can turn it into a 5-minute video, and now you have more options. Whenever we use technology in the classroom, don't just use technology to use it. You need to make sure that there's more meaning in what you're doing now than before you started. Because if you're just doing technology to use technology, there's no point to do it. It's only if what you're doing is making a difference and it's more impactful. The purpose of the technology is to go a step farther and make that connection and have students connect to the real world. And if you're not doing that with technology, there's no point to really use it. So make sure there's a measurable difference of what I'm doing now to what I was doing before. And then what can students create? So I just have a list of literally things that I love in here and that you can use to create. Have students create websites using Google Sites. If you're interested in podcasts, you have YouTube, Flipgrid, Screencast-O-Matic, Screencastify, and Powtoon. This is a great, Powtoon is a great place to make books. There's a lot you can do with that. Comic strips, Book Creator. I love Book Creator. It's a great way to have students make books, comic books, and they can share it. You can have all the books in your classroom, like your online classroom, I should say. And then there's Google Images, Google Slides. If you want students to make advertisement, Canva and Google Draw are great resources. Instead of writing regular poetry on a piece of paper, have them use emoji poetry. Try and figure out what they're saying using emojis. And you can do that with Google Docs or Google Draw. Have them make ebooks, Book Creator again, Google Slides. There's so much you can do with Google Slides. I love it. There's just a ton you can do. It's interactive. You can do choose your own adventure stories. So make those slides interactive. Get to a page, finish reading this page, and choose your adventure. If you click on this slide, it might take you to slide 7. If you click on this one, it might take you to slide 8. And you're choosing your own adventure throughout that story. The next one I have is a magazine cover. You can do that with Google Draw or Canva. Infographic, again, same thing, Google Draw or Canva. Meme, you can use meme generators, Canva or Google Draw. Video, Screencast-O-Matic, Flipgrid, YouTube, Powtoon, Screencastify. And then games. They're some of my favorite ones. Code.org has so many games. They just had, they still have an online dance party on there, so you can code your own dance party. And I had tons of students coding sharks to floss, and their lives were made. Kahoot, quizzes, Quizlet Live, and YouTube are some other great ways to incorporate games and gaming into your classroom. Interactive slides. Paradex, probably my favorite for interactive slides, and Google Slides. And then if you're looking at talking pictures, ChatterPix. It's an app on an iPad where you have a picture and it talks like in the student's voice. And then what I want to challenge you to do now is hop onto Google Drawings and see what you can do with it. Try and make a meme. So if you have your computer, hop onto it, and let's try and make a meme. So go to, if you don't have your computer, that's fine, look at someone next to you. Go to your checkerboard in the corner, or you can go to your drive. So what I would do is go to my drive here, and then go to New. More. And then right in there is Google Drawings. It's the red one with a circle and a square. This is probably my favorite tool to have students use, so if you try it now, you'll be more apt to using it with your students. Let's try it out. So when you get there, it looks like this. And you'll notice at the top that all these buttons look exactly like Google Slides, Google Docs, and everything we've already used. So when I start with the younger kids, I had them start making memes using Toy Story, because it was a movie that everyone had seen. So they all picked Woody and found a quote to add to him. But you can do something different. You can add a picture, search the web, and you're able to search anything on here. So if you want to do something history related, you could do that. The font we use when we're making a meme is Impact White, because that's the font that normally looks like a meme. So Impact White. I noticed on my students' Chromebooks, they can't get Impact, so I have them just use whatever white font looks bold and pretty, and we'll make it work. So try and make a meme. So once you search a picture in here, see if I was doing with my students, we did Toy Story, we did George Washington. This is one a lot of students want to do. They thought this picture of George Washington was great. And then all they would do is go here, add a text box, and then let's see, I need impact, white, and then they would type something that summarized that picture. So I knew they were learning because they were summarizing what we just did. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Did you go to Drive? Go to your Drive. Yeah, hit more. And it's right there. Super easy way to find it. But if you guys would like, below my, I made this public because below my slides, I got a lot of these templates from Ditch That Textbook, and if you go to ditchthattextbook.com, they have so many templates for Google Images, Google Slides, all that stuff. So I linked a bunch of the templates down here, and that's where I found all of these. These are all templates that are on this Ditch That Textbook. So they have templates for Google Drawings, they have templates for Google Slides, and it's pre-made ways to make your classroom more engaging, more interactive, using technology instead of worksheets.
Where did you go to get the templates then?
I went to ditchthattextbook.com. I'll show you how to get there.
Okay.
Ditchthattextbook.com. So once you get here, under resources, there's a templates page. And there are literally templates for everything you could want with Google applications. So this is, I mean, they have graphic organizers, Snapchat templates, the icon boards. So this is where I also got the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Family Feud. And when I found these, I just sent them out to our staff because I was like, these are good. I would want them in my classroom. So I shared them with a bunch of the other teachers, that way they can use them in their classrooms. Tweet for someone, there's templates for, like, I like this one, Galileo, and solar eclipses never get old. So you can take a famous person and use this template and have students tweet as if they're that famous person. Obviously, they didn't have Twitter back with Galileo, but that's going to connect to students because they know what that technology is, they know what that stuff is. And instead of kind of writing what they learned, they're still showing what they learned, but it's on here. So I get a ton of templates from here, and that's where I get most of mine for Google Slides, Google Drawings, and all of that good stuff. Any other questions?